coaches. Offensive rebound, shot lane, she's picked up by Carter.
They claimed that Chennedy Carter was an unstoppable emerging star who was the talk of the WNBA due to her skill, swagger, and killing instinct. However, nobody is secure in a league where the news changes every day and allegiance is only as strong as your last game. The question that no athlete ever wants to hear is now being asked by fans worldwide. Is this the end for Chelsea Carter? This comes after a string of scandals, tearful interviews, and behind-the-scenes rumors. Although every moment is captured by the cameras, the complete truth is never captured. What actually transpired in the locker room following that widely reported altercation? Why do so many coaches and teammates suddenly stop talking and won't respond to inquiries regarding Carter's position on the team? Rumors are spreading like wildfire. Some think she's on her way to redemption, while others assert she's already played her final game. There's no denying that the NBA is tense and everyone is eager to see what will happen next. We're heading straight into the Storm Center in the next minutes. Fans, coaches, and teammates will share their true stories with you, along with some unexpected and startling turns. Is the greatest comeback in WNBA history about to happen? Or is Chennedy Carter's career truly over? Prepare yourself for the kind of drama that keeps basketball fans riveted to their screens, explosive revelations, and heartfelt confessions. The pressure, passion, politics, and what it truly takes to stay at the top are all explored in this drama, which goes beyond a single player. Everyone sensed the change in intensity as Cleveland Carter stepped onto a WNBA court for the first time. Swift, erratic, and unavoidable, she was lightning in sneakers. She appeared to light up every game, even when the odds were against her, and her charisma and bravery won over fans. Not only was her freshman year outstanding, it was electrifying. She was dubbed the future of the league by critics and children. Across began imitating her skills on playgrounds. However, there were whispers for each highlight reel moment. Her furious demeanor, which is a double-edged sword, was recognized by coaches. Although they occasionally found her intensity difficult to handle, teammates appreciated her game. One person remarked, "She wants to win so badly, like she burns too hot for everyone else." Chennedy dismissed the commotion, stating, "That's just who I am. My goal is to compete. Being someone's favorite is not why I'm here." Expectations skyrocketed as her second season began. She was hailed by the media as the one-woman turnaround and the savior of her franchise. Brands approached, offering magazine covers, endorsements, and all the publicity that accompanies being a sports celebrity. However, things were not as flawless behind the scenes as they appeared. In private, a few team veterans questioned whether she was being overwhelmed by the attention. She has the talent, but she needs to realize that it's not just about her. One assistant coach stated quietly, "Family is what basketball is. You're alone if you're not with your squad." The pressure was increasing. Playing was no longer the only goal. She now had to live up to the expectations, maintain her dominance, and control her emotions each night. Each missed shot was carefully examined. Each frown directed at a teammate was amplified. And the criticism intensified as her squad began a losing run. While some supporters remained devoted, others quickly turned against her and blamed her. For every loss, is she just another diva or a superstar? One ruthless headline was read. Chennedy didn't answer, but she had one of her best games ever the following night, scoring 30 points, dishing out 7 assists, and winning to silence her skeptics for the evening. Then came the turning point in history. Emotions running high. The score nodded with seconds remaining, and a fierce matchup with a formidable opponent. Chennedy attempted the last shot but failed. Cameras saw her smashing her fist on the scorer's table as the buzzer sounded, her face displaying a mixture of sadness and rage. A colleague tried to console her, but Chennedy retreated and muttered to herself, Those who were present reported hearing voices in the dressing room, but what transpired next was not shown on television, long after the arena had been cleared. The atmosphere remained tight as abrasive comments were exchanged. Drama-hungry, the media jumped in. According to unidentified sources, there were rumors of a locker room meltdown in which Chennedy allegedly confronted a teammate and then rushed out. The tale took on a life of its own overnight. She was described as a problem, a distraction, and the cause of her team's difficulties by some outlets, while others portrayed her as an overly concerned and competitive individual. Fans became divided. While hashtag Team Chennedy was trending, hashtag Trade Drama was as well. Throughout it all, Chennedy remained largely quiet. She never gave names in her cryptic social media posts, which alluded to loyalty and treachery. Caught in the middle, her coach attempted to defuse the situation. She told reporters, "Chennedy is a great player and a competitor. Passion can occasionally overflow. However, we work as a team and manage matters internally." However, the rumors persisted. Cameras captured Chennedy working alone, apart from the rest of the team, at the following practice. There was no longer the customary pre-game chat, and players shunned media. Everyone was aware that something had changed. Then something new happened. Insiders argued whether the rumors that management was thinking of suspending Chennedy for conduct detrimental to the team were genuine, or only a scare tactic to get her back in line. Online, fans debated whether Chennedy was being treated unfairly by the league, or if she was the one causing it. Every choice felt like it might make or ruin not just Kennedy's season, but her entire career as the franchise came under increasing strain. The story was out of control. Former athletes began to comment on it on national sports broadcasts. According to one narrative, she has the fire, but she needs to channel it. Others supported her by pointing out the unfair treatment of young vocal female players, arguing that if she doesn't, she'll be out of the league before she knows it. According to a well-known analyst, if this were the NBA, we'd call her a leader, not a problem. Chennedy took action while the dispute was still going strong. In order to clear the air and get back to playing basketball, she demanded a meeting with team management. According to reports, the discussion was candid but tense behind closed doors. Chennedy acknowledged that her emotions overcame her, but she also urged the team to stand with her rather than single her out. What took place at that meeting? The whole story is unknown. However, the team revealed at the conclusion of the week that Chennedy would miss the next 2 games due to personal reasons. Fans deduced this information. Was this a pause to calm down and regroup, or was she suspended? In any case, everyone was curious about what Chennedy would do next. And could she weather the storm that was just starting to blow over her NBA career? The silence during the 2 games that Chennedy Carter missed was more deafening than any stadium. Everyone had an opinion, whether it was on her phone, on her social media feeds, or even at the grocery store. Old clips were shared by fans with the caption, "Come back stronger." Communications, but the haters were equally vocal, speculating that she might never play at this level again, with her face unreadable and her mind aflutter with regrets and what-ifs. Chennedy scrolled through everything. The locker room felt more empty, despite her comrades' best efforts to maintain order. It was quieter during practice. Coaches repeatedly asked the same questions. Is she coming back? The team lost both of the games she missed. And every reporter in town pointed out the obvious. Say what you want, but this squad just isn't the same without Chennedy. Is it possible to succeed without her? But no one had a direct response. The franchise was a mess behind the scenes. Executives questioned whether Chennedy was worth the turmoil and were concerned about their investment. Some sponsors put their campaigns on hold as they awaited the outcome. The league office even contacted to subtly remind everyone that appearances are just as important to the WNBA as skill. One slip-up, one more widely shared issue, and the harm might be irreversible. Despite Chennedy's best efforts, the cacophony was too loud to ignore. She met with a dependable mentor, a former celebrity who had weathered her fair share of controversies. The mentor didn't mince words over coffee, according to her attitude. Keeps you in the game, but talent keeps you in the league. You must choose who you are, both on and off the court. If you want a future here, with Chennedy. The words remained. She watched previous interviews of herself that evening, from when the league was new, and there was unending optimism, along with the joy and love of the game that had been buried under the burden of expectations. She could see the fire in her eyes. When did I stop enjoying myself? She pondered. When did basketball become a conflict? Her agent gave her more gloomy news over the phone. Teams are posing inquiries, but at this time, no offers are being made. This must be fixed before to the draft. Sponsors are observing. The league is keeping an eye on things. Chennedy, you don't get many second chances. This must be more important to you than winning an argument. The sports community, however, wouldn't let the story go. Her entire career, from her high school highlights to her college brilliance to her professional blunders, was covered in a deep dive episode of one podcast. Is Chennedy Carter misunderstood or opposed to herself? They inquired. Some admirers expressed their frustration at what they perceived as wasted talent, while others called in with their own stories about how she had influenced them. However, when a former teammate made a public statement, things began to change. The footballer told reporters she has heart. Perhaps too much at times. However, this league is difficult. The comment went viral, and for the first time, people began to doubt the narrative. I'd rather have a teammate who cares too much than one who doesn't care at all. Was Chennedy a fierce competitor caught in a system that didn't know how to deal with her? Or was she just another diva, another scandal? This one, unrelated to Kennedy's actions, erupted as the argument continued. A video of another NBA player having a furious dispute with her own coach surfaced. However, rather than reacting negatively, supporters gathered around her, referring to her as fiery and a real leader. Chennedy witnessed the double standard in action. It's what makes it different when I'm involved. She inquired with her mentor. The mentor merely gave a sorrowful smile. You're a spark plug. It is both a blessing and a burden. Chennedy resumed exercising as the days went by, initially in secret, with no cameras, no spectators. Just the sound of the ball and her own thoughts. Determined to return stronger, wiser, and more in control, she threw all of her frustration into the workouts. She often reminded herself, I'm not done yet. This is not how I'm going out. An olive branch was extended by her coach. The squad wants you back whenever you're ready. However, it must be as a leader and not as a diversion. Chennedy inhaled deeply. Being a leader was about more than simply highlights and points. It was about communication, trust, and uplifting others as well as oneself. She finally realized that her profession was not a one-man show, but rather something larger that she could still influence if she was prepared to change. Your next move is everything, was the final admonition from the league administration. The message was clear. Prove to us that you are more than just a headline. Although she had been given another chance, time was running out. Fans waited for the next chapter once it was reported that she would be rejoining the squad. Would the drama follow her forever? Or would Chennedy rise to the occasion and disprove everyone? The next game would be the most significant of her life, and everyone would be watching. That much was clear. The arena was crowded and teeming with anxious energy on the night of Chennedy Carter's comeback. Some fans donned her shirt out of curiosity, while others did so in support, all wondering if she would become more or less well-known. Every pre-game handshake was captured on television. Commentators discussed whether the controversy would overshadow her performance, and teammates looked at each other with a fragile but hopeful trust. Chennedy made an effort to block out the sound. She made a silent vow to herself as she put on her sneakers. Play for the love. Participate in team sports. Her coach gave her a slap on the back, a tacit indication that this was her chance to regain not only her position but also her reputation. Let them see you, not the drama. There was energy in the air when the game ended. The audience cheered and whispered every time Chennedy touched the ball. In an attempt to blend in rather than take control, she began slowly and cautiously, passing more often than shooting. However, something changed in the middle of the second quarter when her side was behind 8 points. When the opponent's defense broke down, Chennedy was able to see her lane. She took the foul, drove hard to the rim, and made an improbable layup to end the play. Her smile was genuine for the first time in weeks as the crowd screamed. Her comrades gathered around her, cheering her on and giving her high fives. The energy dispersed. The squad had narrowed the deficit by the half, and Chennedy had stealthily accumulated points, assists, and even a few steals. The television crew was raving about her dedication, attention, and new attitude. However, not everyone was persuaded. Skeptics were all over social media. Has she truly changed, or is this just one excellent game? Chennedy spoke to her teammates in the locker room. She said, her voice trembling, "I know I haven't always been the easiest person to play with. However, I want you to know that I'm available to you all. I'm riding with this squad no matter what happens out there." It wasn't staged and it wasn't flawless, but it was genuine, more tightly than they had all season. The team huddled. It was a war in the second half. Chennedy didn't force it, but she played as though she had something to prove. Every defensive switch was locked in, every drive was clever, and every pass was measured. The game was deadlocked with 2 minutes remaining. In order to prepare a play not for Chennedy, but for a teammate, the coach called a timeout. She set a crushing screen to clear the path after giving a selfless nod. The squad took the lead as the bucket went in. With seconds remaining, Chennedy found herself in possession of the ball after the opponent responded with a three-pointer. The Globe watched as the crowd stood up. Instead, she drove and kicked it out to a wide-open shooter who drained the game-winning shot as the buzzer rang, even though she could have gone for the glory. The bench blew up. First, teammates gathered around Chennedy, embracing her and yelling, "That's how we do it." Her leadership was unquestionable for the first time. She was hurriedly asked what had changed by the post-game interviewers. Chennedy inhaled deeply. She remarked, "I realized I can't win by myself. This is a cooperative game. Happy to be back." The response was prompt when the highlights played on the internet. Critics acknowledged that she had matured. According to an experienced broadcaster, "She's matured right before our eyes." Others were still unsure, awaiting the arrival of this new Chennedy. But she had silenced her skeptics for at least one night. The following morning, the league office called to congratulate her coach and remind everyone that character matters as much as talent. Brands that had put a hold on endorsements contacted them again, hesitantly offering to extend their contracts. "Keep it up and you'll have more offers than ever," her agent texted. Behind the scenes, things weren't flawless. Chennedy was aware that the pressure would not be released. Practice still had its share of uncomfortable times, old wounds that needed to be healed, and unsatisfied ravers. However, she was now focused, modest, and resolved to establish genuine trust one day at a time. The comeback is never about the scoreboard. Her mentor's comments reverberated off the floor. In order to share her tale with the next generation, Chennedy started volunteering at youth clinics. "It's about who you become when no one is looking. I made a mistake," she admitted to one group. "However, you have a new opportunity every day. Don't waste it." Her squad advanced to the playoffs as the season went on. Every significant victory generated new news stories, such as Chennedy Carter, redemption in motion. Every narrow defeat served as another challenge to her fortitude. But despite everything, she continued to show up, prioritize the team, and battle for the dream that began when she was a young child with a ball and an awe. Nevertheless, the question remained, was this a fleeting flare before the next issue, or was this a return for the ages? Everyone in the NBA community was watching and waiting for the answer as the playoffs drew near, understanding that in both sports and life, the story is never truly over. One thing is certain as the final buzzer sounds on Chandler Carter's most incredible season to date, her journey is about more than simply basketball. It's about tumbling, rising, and proving to the world that growth is more difficult, messy, and motivating than any highlight reel. Her future in the NBA is still up in the air, but regardless of whether she becomes a legend or encounters fresh difficulties, her narrative has already influenced every fan who has ever pondered what happens when things become tough. However, you are now in control of the question. Is the pressure starting to build, or did Chennedy actually silence her skeptics? Are there upcoming tests in the shadows, or has the league finally accepted her fire? Do you still believe that her greatest days are behind her, or are you cheering for her to turn around? The basketball community is split. Fans are in disbelief and emotions are running high. Thus, we would want to hear from you. Leave your thoughts in the comment section below if you've followed every development from the comeback game to the locker room drama. Will the spotlight continue to burn her out? Or do you believe Chelsea Carter will become a WNBA superstar? Is the player, the league, or merely the media hype machine to blame for all the controversy? If you think there are second chances, don't forget to hit the like button. Subscribe for more true stories and exclusive inside drama, and enable notifications so you don't miss anything. Because we'll be here to break it all down. In the world of professional basketball, the next big story is always just one play away. Thank you for watching and keep cheering for the true comeback tales till the next time.